Know and inspire.
Have you ever felt like you're running this endless race towards some finish line that, well, just doesn't seem to exist? You push, you strive, do everything you think you're supposed to, only to arrive and think, nope, still not who I should be. Does that sound familiar at all? For so many of us, even looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, it's tough. There's always that little voice, right? Whispering, you don't deserve it. You're not good enough. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are digging into some really fascinating source material. It promises actually a kind of pathway away from that pain, that fear, that guilt, towards something like inner peace, health, and, well, real self-love. Our main source today is Aya. That translates to the power of self-acceptance and self-love. It's this incredible personal story, but it's also deeply interwoven with the teachings of the amazing Louise Hay. So our mission today, we want to unpack those core beliefs that really hold us back. We'll explore how our thoughts, literally our thoughts, can shape our reality, even our physical body. And we'll look at some simple daily practices that might just fundamentally shift how you relate to yourself. Get ready for, I think, some potentially big moments could really change how you see healing and growth. Okay. Starting off, the author of our main source shares this initial belief they had, and it really struck me. They were convinced, absolutely convinced, that to be loved or even just it had to be perfect, like flawless, thin, successful, strong, zero weaknesses, zero doubts. It's all about being the one who gets praised, gets chosen, gets wanted. And if they weren't that, well, then they just weren't needed. Simple as that in their mind. And what's really wild is they thought this whole struggle, this pain, was just normal. Like suffering was just part of growing up, or maybe worse, a sign you were doing something fundamentally wrong.
Yeah, it's an incredibly common place to start, isn't it? That feeling of, I must be doing something wrong. But it's often not about one specific wrong action, but more like doing something wrong to yourself. Consistently for a long time. This whole mindset, the idea that love has to be earned through perfection, or that suffering is just the price of admission, just builds this pervasive sense of inadequacy. It's like you're constantly running on empty, always trying to prove you're enough.
That's a really vivid way to put it, running on empty. And it sounds just draining, honestly. So, okay, if it's not about being inherently wrong, but more about how we've learned to treat ourselves, how do you even start to change that? How do you unlearn years, maybe decades, of that kind of internal programming?
Well, that's exactly where Louise Hay's work comes in, and it was truly revolutionary for the author. Their entire way of seeing the world got flipped upside down by this one quote from her. Hay wrote, "You don't have to do anything to deserve love. You already are, just because you are." Apparently, the author read that sentence like 7 times. It felt like heresy, they said, like a total lie. Just seemed impossible if you were, serious about life and achievement.
Just because you are. Wow. It sounds so simple, yet it really cuts against the grain of so much we absorb, doesn't it? It makes you ask, well, if we don't have to do anything specific to be loved, then what actually shapes our experience? What's in control?
Exactly the right question. And if you look at Louise Hay's broader teachings, this is central. She really emphasized, you are the cause, you are the effect, you are the creator of your life. Full stop. She was very clear. It's not your circumstances, not your parents, not your ex, not your boss. It's you. It's your thoughts, the words you use, your internal attitudes, day in, day out. When you keep repeating things like, I'm not worthy, or nobody needs me, that's not just a passing thought. You are, in a very real sense, programming your reality. Your mind is setting the stage for those things to feel true, to even manifest. She had this great way of explaining it. The body, mind, and soul aren't separate. They're one system. So if your mind consistently tells your body, I'm sick, or I'm weak, the body, which is incredibly receptive, just goes, okay, boss, I'll get sick, I'll feel weak.
And the author actually lived this, right? This mind-body thing wasn't just theoretical for them. At 33, working these crazy 12-hour days, barely sleeping, eating on the run, they developed chronic neck pain, and their internal monologue was just relentless. I'm falling behind, I'm always late, I just can't cope. And nothing worked medically, did it? Injections, massage, PT, none of it touched the pain.
Exactly. And this is where one of Louise Hay's insights just clicked so powerfully for them. She used this metaphor for the neck. The neck is the support of the head. If the neck hurts, it means you don't feel supported in life. The author sort of sat with that, and bam, realization hit. It perfectly mirrored how they felt, like they were holding up the entire world, totally alone, that nobody was helping. If they stopped pushing for 1 second, everything would just collapse. They were doing all the holding, but crucially, nobody was holding them. It's such a clear example of that mind-body connection. The physical pain wasn't random. It was a messenger carrying a deep emotional truth.
Okay, so that connection is powerful. But how does that translate into actual change, like day to day? Because for a lot of us, understanding the connection is one thing, but doing something about it feels kind of abstract. What did the author do?
It actually led to this incredibly simple practice. But simple doesn't mean easy, especially at first. They started doing this every single morning, before anything else, before even washing their face. Stand in front of the mirror, look right into their own eyes and say out loud, I love you, I accept you, I am grateful that you are with me. They said at first it was like a whisper. It felt like a huge act of resistance against everything they'd believed. But then something shifted, a breakthrough moment where they realized they weren't faking it anymore, they weren't pretending, they were just telling the truth. And they described it like something inside just cracked open, let a little light in.
Wow. That takes real courage, I imagine, especially if you've spent a lifetime being your own worst critic. So what happened then? Did they actually notice changes from this mirror work?
Yeah, and the shifts were apparently quite immediate, which is fascinating. The author describes becoming softer, not necessarily to other people, but towards themselves, radically softer. They stopped the constant self-berating. Like, if they were late, instead of you idiot, you're always late, it became, okay, I'm late, let's manage this. If they felt unproductive, instead of you're lazy, you're a wimp, it shifted to recognizing, oh, I'm actually really tired, maybe I need rest. It was about identifying the need, not assigning blame. And the physical results were pretty stunning. That chronic neck pain, it started getting quieter within a month, and within 2 months, it was almost completely gone. Without any other major changes, no extraordinary treatments, just the affirmations and this practice of being kinder to themselves.
It really makes you think about that inner voice we all have, doesn't it? You know the one, late again, said the wrong thing, not good enough, could be better. I mean, imagine if another person followed you around saying that stuff all day, every day. You wouldn't call that motivation, would you? You'd call it bullying. Verbal abuse even. So why on earth do we let ourselves do it internally? Why do we buy into this idea that being hard on ourselves is the path to improvement?
It's such a crucial question, and Louise Hay had a really direct answer for it. Punishment does not create growth. Only love creates growth. And that's not just some fluffy sentiment. It fundamentally challenges that whole no pain, no gain mentality we often apply to ourselves. What if constant self-criticism isn't actually motivating you, but is literally acting like a brake, holding you back? You're not going to become kinder by hating yourself more. You won't get more successful by constantly humiliating yourself internally, or healthier by blaming yourself for every little thing. Real, sustainable change, the kind that lasts, seems to come from a place of already feeling okay. When you can start from, you know what, I am already good enough. I am worthy right now. I am loved by me. That it completely shifts the driving force from fear and guilt and to desire and love. And that's a much more powerful, positive engine for growth.
And it wasn't just the mirror work, was it? There was journaling too, but used in a specific way. The author started seeing journaling as kind of therapy, not just, tracking goals or forcing discipline. Every night, they'd simply write down 3 small things they were grateful for. Tiny things, like the sun was out today, or I had a warm cup of tea and it felt nice, or I managed to smile at a stranger in the elevator. Really basic stuff.
Yes, and this tapped into something psychologists sometimes call the law of attraction of attention, though maybe not in the mystical sense people sometimes think. It's a basic psychological principle. What you consistently focus your attention on genuinely expands in your awareness. Your brain starts prioritizing it. So the author found that after just about a week of this gratitude practice, they started noticing the good things more often. Before, their brain was maybe wired to scan for problems, for what went wrong. Now it started picking up on what did work out, what felt good. And the more they noticed, the more positive things seemed to appear. It's not magic. It's literally training your brain, neuroplasticity. You're rewiring your perception to see more positivity, which changes your emotional state, and as we've discussed, even your physical feeling. You feel heavier thinking, I'm exhausted, right? Lighter thinking, I'm grateful for this moment. Your breathing gets tight when you think, I can't handle this. And it tends to even out when you think, okay, I'm doing what I can right now.
Louise Hay also had that teaching. Every illness is a metaphor, which I admit can sound a bit dismissive of real physical suffering if you take it the wrong way. But the source is careful here. It's not saying you're inventing the pain or it's all in your head in a dismissive way. It's suggesting we listen to the pain as the body's own intelligent language. It's a way of yelling, hey, something's wrong here. Pay attention. I need care. Hear me. She gave some really specific examples too, didn't she? Like headaches often pointing to internal conflict, that battle between I should and I want. Heart pain maybe suggesting suppressed feelings, emotions held back for too long. Peeling skin maybe relating to feeling like you don't belong, like you want to shed your skin. Stomach pain, trying to digest something you just can't accept.
Right. And the key insight here, again, isn't about ditching your doctor or ignoring medical advice. Absolutely not. It's about adding another layer, adding attention, and crucially, dialogue to your healing process. The practice the author describes is simple but profound, putting a hand on a place that's tense or painful and just saying internally or out loud, "Thank you for serving me. I see you. I hear you. I love you." They found the pain didn't just vanish instantly, of course not. But over time, it stopped feeling like an enemy. It became more like a messenger, something to listen to, not just fight against. It leads you to wonder, what if we treated our own inner struggles, even physical aches, with that kind of tenderness? The kind we'd naturally offer a child we loved.
Exactly. That's another practice the author adopted, right? Talking to themselves like a beloved child. Not a child you're trying to discipline or fix, but one you just want to scoop up and hug. Comfort. Like, imagine your own little self, maybe 5 or 6 years old, crying, feeling scared or alone. What's your instinct? It's probably not toughen up. It's more like, oh, honey, it's okay. Everything is fine, baby. I'm right here. You're safe.
Exactly. And the author started applying that internal voice to their own anxiety. They'd picture that anxious part of themselves, maybe like a scared inner child or teenager, and they'd internally say things like, "Hey, I'm with you. You're not alone in this feeling. We'll get through it. It's going to be okay."
Yeah.
And the shift wasn't that the anxiety disappeared entirely overnight. That's often not realistic. But it stopped controlling them. It lost its power. By meeting it with compassion instead of fighting it or berating themselves for feeling it, they essentially created an ally within themselves against the anxiety's overwhelming force. It's a very subtle but powerful shift in relationship.
Okay, and then there's the really big one, forgiveness. Louise Hay's statement. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. Specifically not for the person who hurt you, but for your own release. To let go of your own burden. But gosh, that's a tough one, isn't it? Especially when the hurt is deep. Doesn't forgiveness sometimes feel like you're saying what happened was okay? Or letting someone off the hook?
That's such a common and understandable resistance. It's a vital point. The authors actually shared a very personal story about this, a long, hard struggle to forgive their father. He was apparently very strict, rarely offered praise, and then he died without ever really expressing pride or approval. And this left the author feeling just crushed for years, then angry, then guilty for feeling angry, a whole complex mess. But much later, this realization dawned. Their father was, in his own way, also sick. He was operating from an old curriculum, as the author put it, learned patterns. And the author's job couldn't be to change or heal the past, or their father. Their job was to heal themselves. And a key part of that healing was realizing that forgiveness isn't about weakness or condoning anything. It's actually an act of profound strength. It's a conscious decision. I refuse to remain a prisoner of this past pain. It's about choosing your own freedom over holding on to resentment that ultimately only poisons you.
So what did they do? How did they enact that forgiveness? They actually wrote him a letter, didn't they? But spoke it out loud. Something like, "Dad, I forgive you. I forgive you for not being able to love the way I needed. I forgive myself for waiting all those years for your approval. I don't wait anymore. I'm my own approval now. I'm my own father. I'm my own friend. I'm my own love." They said they cried a lot. But afterwards, breathing felt physically easier, like a weight lifted.
It's incredibly powerful.
It really is. It perfectly embodies taking back your own power, your own narrative. And what's so compelling about this whole journey described in the source is how these huge internal shifts, they actually showed up in really small, tangible, everyday habits, like going from someone who always skipped breakfast because no time, to intentionally eating slowly, tasting the food, feeling gratitude for it, or shifting from falling asleep doom-scrolling on their phone, mind racing with anxiety, to consciously turning off the light, putting a hand on their heart and just saying, "Thank you for this day. I did okay. I am okay." Even avoiding mirrors completely, to then looking in the mirror each day and actually managing a genuine smile. My own inner critic sometimes feels like it's got tenure. It's just been there so long. How did the author actually manage to change those deep-seated habits?
Well, as they emphasize, it's definitely not magic. It's practice, consistent, daily practice. Every single day becomes a small step, a tiny conscious choice toward yourself, towards kindness, towards acceptance. And you take enough of those small steps day after day after day, and eventually you look back and you realize you're just not the same person anymore. It's the compounding effect of those seemingly insignificant daily acts of self-compassion and awareness.
So let's circle back to that incredibly powerful core message from Louise Hay. The one I think maybe we all need tattooed on our brains sometimes. Everything you need is already inside. You don't need to run faster, achieve more, be more to find it. You don't have to beg for love or approval from outside. You are already whole right now. You are already complete. You are already loved. Maybe just for today, try this experiment. Say this to yourself 3 times, slowly. Really try to feel the words land. I am already whole. I am already complete. I am already loved. And just notice. See if anything feels even a tiny bit different in your day.
Because you really don't have to be perfect to be loved. You just have to be yourself. And honestly, that's more than enough. We believe in you listening right now, not because you achieved something amazing today, but simply because you exist. And that really is enough.
Know and inspire. Subscribe and like, because it will be more interesting further.